Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're going to get back to work now on the 550CS, the new to me 550CS that needs a piston and cylinder. So we need to start tearing the saw down. You know, a lot of what I would have gone into in an intro video we covered in that what was I thinking, well, what are we thinking, but again, me on this one. And so the saw is already partially torn down. If you didn't watch that video and you want to see me tear a few things down, just you know, do the inspection and figure out what exactly was going on, at least as much as possible, go check that video out. I'll put a card in here, and I probably will put that on the end screen too. Anyway, let's get back into this thing and see if we can't make some real progress now instead of screwing about. Yeah, that's probably good. Alright, so based on my experience with the other one, we probably ought to go ahead and remove our isolators. Now, I've already spotted some problems. One of them, of course, we found previously, but that's that one can't work no more. This whole piece is busted off, and I'm not happy about that. There were 6 isolators originally for a reason, and I would prefer that there still be 6 isolators, but it is what it is. And I don't want to be doing this yet. I want to get that carburetor out of the way. So somebody's been in here because of the Tygon hoses. I'm really, I wish I had a backstory on why this thing seized. Why it ran lean. And I don't know what we're going to find. I truly don't. But let's go ahead. What am I going to do? I'm going to get the switch panel loose. And that way I can get that grommet out. When I did the tank replacement on the other one, and I found that wrinkled, whatchamacallit, intake boot, that convinced me to carefully pull these damn high-low grommets loose. Looks like we could afford a little bit more cleanup on this, too. I've gotten spoiled working on my own saws. Alright, let's see if we can get this to come loose. Minus the damage, of course. What I mean by that is by not damaging it. Because these are made of unobtainium. I haven't even run across any in my parts lot from San Francisco yet, and if anything was going to have them, that is exactly where I'd expect to find them. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and loosen the carb up now. I've got the top loose on this grommet. Hopefully with a little bit of shimmy and shake and we can get it all the way. And now this is not released from the intake boot in any way, shape, or form. There it goes. There. Oh, and there we go. Alright. So the boot actually doesn't look bad from here. I'm going to reserve judgment on that until we get it all the way out. But with the carb removed, now I can finish popping this grommet out. And again, this is solely to help in aligning that intake boot onto the carburetor when we go to put it back together. Alright, because we have to take Nah, we can just shove it through. Yep, that's pliable enough, it'll shove through. I don't know whether we're going to save that boot. I don't know yet. Just say the jury is out on that one. And I have noticed on the other side, somebody must have lost an isolator pin. Because I see something that's way too big jammed through there, and that makes me think that we're going to have a thread repair and probably a replacement isolator needed. Which thankfully, if I recall correctly, I do have some. So you saw what I was just removing. Does that look right? Doesn't to me. Good God, that's huge. That's actually 1/4 inch. Ugh. Damn. I hope. But I know better. God bless it. I think somebody rammed a 5/16 thread right through there. What a dumbass. When parts were available. That's annoying. Fortunately, I think this is a common 1/4-20 thread. And I think that I can still put an insert in that. But I know that isolator is going to be roached, completely gone. Huh. And that one's just loose. Interesting. And that one was almost loose. Well, let's see if we can get this off. I'm not convinced the throttle handle has to come off to do a cylinder replacement, but I do think it will make it easier. With not a lot of... Oh, wow. Well, that hose just fell right off. This oil hose has a giant globular of silicone on it, because apparently they tore it, but didn't want to take the time to fish a new hose. See that? Hey. See what's under there. Yep, just exactly what I said. The hose had deteriorated and they didn't want to take the time to replace it. Well, that's disappointing. Alright, so there's the isolator that some jackass thought they needed to drive that 5/16 bolt into. And it went so deep that it actually was rubbing back here. So yeah, the insert, the isolator, they're all trash on this thing. But I guess the rest are okay. The plastic insert is oh. Haha. Perhaps we're witnessing, I don't know what order of events here, when that ear broke off, when that one was lost, but that one's deteriorated. Alright, well, some of those are going to have to get replaced. But that is a future me problem. The now me problem is, let's see about an engine that ain't crunchy, that'll actually turn over. God, those were loose. That did not seem correct to me. Okay. So that intake boot isn't bad. At least it certainly doesn't appear to be. It's not torn. It's not soft. No, there's nothing wrong with that intake boot. So I still don't have an answer as to why this thing burned up. And that bothers me a little bit. Actually, that bothers me a lot, to be very honest, but it's all on the exhaust side. There's no scoring on this side at all. This side, however, that's poopy caca. Alright, let's get our piece of shit Autolite out of here. I'm assuming I just grabbed that. Maybe that came with a saw. You guys know my feelings about Autolite on the Homelites. What size is this? It is 5/32. Now, is there any crap in there that's gonna... Oh, man. I wouldn't do that with the Harbor Freight ones, I'll tell you that. Okay, so my hardware is going to halfway stay. I want to capture the washers. Those are a conical style lock washer instead of a split. But I don't want to mess this up and lose parts. Okay. I'm just hoping we don't have deeper issues down on the bottom end that I don't know about. Hope it's just a top end thing. Hard to say not knowing. We should be about to find out. Now, as hard as this was to turn over, I'm wondering how hard it's going to be to get off of here. So I think before I take it apart, I'm going to see if I still have enough yippee-ki-yay to get it to the bottom of the stroke. Oh, that is so rough. That is so torn up. God, I may end up just loosening the clutch there if I'm not careful. Where's my... There it is. Okay, I don't know. I'll just have to deal with it. Ha! Yeah, it's loose. But how in the hell am I going to get that out? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Certainly don't want to pry on the gasket surface. Oh! Solved. Let me capture some hardware. Okay. Oh, wow. Alright, we have bigger issues. She's still not free. There is oil down here, which means what I shot in made it down. Oh, there's a bunch of oil. Ick. There's actually a puddle down in the crankcase. I may not have been the only idiot that did that. Okay, so we got a gasket there we're going to have to replace. Hopefully I can get that. Man, that is just tore up from the floor up. I mean, this is so bad. I mean, that is bad. But it's all on the exhaust side, so it must have gotten awful hot. So, with that old piece of shat out of the way, oh my god, the bottom end axe locked up. What has happened to this poor thing? This is going to irritate me, folks. I mean, did the bearings actually rust? Did this thing get water in it? What the hell? Man, I just don't feel good about this at all. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I had not planned on splitting a crankcase. But it sure would appear that I'll be splitting a crankcase. Interesting. I'd envision this being a fairly quick process. That would appear to be somewhat incorrect. Come on, baby. Get that worm gear out. Yeah, you can't stay on there. I mean, I guess you could, but I prefer you didn't. Come on. Come on. And there must be some buildup on the crankshaft that I can't see. There she goes. Oh yeah. Definitely some crankshaft glaze. Alright, now that little spacer washer is pretty critical. I'm going to put that up there. Cannot lose it. Can't afford to lose it. Man, I hope this isn't going to be a disaster. And yet I know it's going to be. Get our oil pump out of the way. Maybe. Maybe. Where the hell? Oh, you know what? All the screws are on the other side. I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to leave it for now. If I end up needing to replace that crank, if I have to replace bearings, I'm going to do crankshaft seals. They'll pull it off at that point. I just don't know what happened to this poor saw. So much loose. I think somebody attempted to repair, or at least attempted to figure it out, and then slapped it back together before I bought it. But thankfully they were honest and said that it was, well, they said it was spin free, which that part wasn't accurate at all, but they did say that it would need a top end. And that prevented the price from going through the roof like you would expect on one of these things. Which is good, because if somebody bought this thinking it was going to be an easy, cheap fix for $400 or $500 or more, like some of these could go for, that would be a bad day. Nope. Okie dokie. tell if I see rust down there, and I almost think I might. That was excessive. But this is all going to have to get cleaned up anyhow. Now let's see if I can get away with cheating. I have a feeling that's a giant hell no. And that's unfortunate because this style of starter pawl means I'm going to have to pull them out in order to thread something new in. So, instead of whining about it, I'll just get to it. I sure hope I can fix this. I do not want to part this saw out. These things are too freaking rare to see one end like that. Alright, I think yeah. Yep. Okay. But if this is going to be the pound that I think it's going to be, I'll protect those crankshaft threads. As much as I can. See if that landed somewhat flat. What I mean by that is an even pull. Yeah, that it did. Well, what's the worst that can happen? We know it's C, so I should be able to tighten this without a whole lot of headache. Wow. Flexing that plate pretty good. I don't know what it is I'm doing, but I don't think it's anything good. Nope. I'm bending my puller plate. shit. I was afraid of that. Oh boy. Okay. Now that I'm half deaf, all right, it's time to take a little break here, let the penetrating oil work, and maybe break out the torch. Because I've bent one of these plates before trying to take a Pioneer apart, and I broke it. And I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. So, okay, this is obviously going to take more to do than I had hoped. I guess I was overly optimistic, thinking that having some parts on hand was going to be enough. I don't think I've got all of them, all the ones I'm going to need. So, like I say, I'm going to take a break, let this do some thinking about whether it wants to come off or not, and we'll come back. It wasn't any fun. Heat, hammering, penetrating oil, repeat, heat. Yeah. I haven't taken the nut off the crankshaft yet. I'm just hoping that I didn't do anything bad. Let's find out. This is going to be too hot. Yeah, that's definitely still too hot for me to hold. Well, good news is I don't think I damaged the crankshaft. That nut is hot. Ow. Alright, let me get this crap out of the way. So I was afraid of. That's not going to want to come apart now that I've damaged it. Cute. It's not supposed to be curved. I'll deal with that problem later. Maybe it's time for me to buy a sheet of 1/4 inch and make a new plate. Alright, we're going to do the smart way or the dumb way? Dumb way. How hot? That's pretty hot. I don't think I'm going to light a piece of wood on fire, though. I don't know why that sumbitch was on so tight. I don't see a lot of rust on that crankshaft. Now what I can say is it started turning over a little better when I had the leverage of the flywheel, but not that great. And I found all my hammering knocked a nut out of somewhere. I'll be damned if I know where. Alright, so it looks like the crankcase is held together by this screw and then all the other ones that are going from the other side. So let's beat this thing back down. It looks like it has been bent up. Alright. Maybe I'll be a little more sophisticated. I don't know if I have enough leverage for this. Even though it's just aluminum, it's not thin aluminum. Oh yeah, piece of cake. Now, in doing research, I'm not convinced there's a huge difference between these bearings. Well, I'm an idiot. That's not what's behind that. Ha! I need to slow down. Use my brain. It's buried in that hole that I was trying to dig all the sawdust out earlier. That was the cross one. Alright. Let's try and get these out. It wasn't tight at all. That acted like it had some Loctite. That one didn't. That one didn't. That one didn't. This one just had more Loctite. Nice goober on the end there. I don't know if that's going to focus. To hell with it. God, I hate this mess. I didn't want to have to go this far. Pretty sure that this will be the farthest anybody's taken an 8800 family down on YouTube, though. Alright, so now we need to split this damn crankcase. Which means the bearings can come out of one side to begin with. Your guess is as good as mine as to which one it's going to be. What I do know is I don't want to break shit. Let's just try a couple love taps here and see what the hell happens. Not a lot. Ah, she's starting to come apart. Definitely starting to come apart. Looks like the bearing is staying with the crankcase and it's just coming off the crankshaft itself. So we'll just keep going until we can't go no more. Which is right there. Well, that was actually quite successful. I don't think I did anything to damage anything. And I like that. Oh. So you know what happened here? Because we all saw this saw as it came out of the box. I'm going to say that the seller hosed it off with the piston and the downstroke, and water stayed in here. Because you can actually see evidence of the corrosion. Wow. Wow, indeed. And this side, it's not like that's great. As noisy as that is, how long would that last? Besides, not very effing long. I guess my only plus is that it doesn't appear that the rod got damaged. This is a mess, though. This is really a mess. It's cooled down some. I'd like to get have to get the piston off of here. And I don't think this pin is going to be tight. I think it's going to come right out. Well, that shows what I don't know. Ah, damn it. How's the... Well, it appears the wrist pin bearing is okay. There's no... Well, is there? Nope, that's at the... That's the connecting rod. I don't know about that. I have no idea what has happened to this saw. But it wasn't good. That's what I know. Alright. Video's already longer than what I had intended for it to be. I thought we'd be doing a test run by now, to be perfectly honest. Okay. I've got a ton of parts I need to clean up. I've got a ton of parts I need to bag up. With the way the internals of this engine look, it's getting new bearings anywhere that I can put new bearings. The only thing I can't source is a crankshaft. I already looked. And so far, I don't see a reason that I'd need to. I'll throw that out there. But I will be replacing the main crank bearings. And if I can source it by the bearing number on here, I'm going to replace that wrist pin bearing too, just to be safe. Because the last thing I want to do is burn up a brand new cylinder. That wouldn't be cool. And this gives me the opportunity to replace or reseal the crankcase. Again, I don't know if anybody's been in here, but I know that the moisture damage, that shouldn't have happened. And that didn't happen on my watch. So anyway, there will be a part 2. Not sure when. See how long it takes to get all this stuff. But yeah, stay tuned. And at some point, we'll wrap this thing up. We'll get it back together, and then I've got a bit of a surprise. I wanted to unveil much sooner than what we're going to be able to, but that's okay. Catch you guys on the next one.